Alright, now that you have read and have understood those texts, we can reread Daniel chapter 12, verse 11 as, "And from the time that paganism shall be taken away and papacy set up, there shall be 1,290 days." Before we ask what does 1290 mean here, let's circle back to where we began. In the time of Pergamos, errors have found their way into the church, corrupting God's word. Beginning from Constantine, pagan to Christian in 312 AD, then to Clovis being baptized into Catholic in 508, and then lastly Justinian compiling the laws by 534 AD, a foundation has been laid to now persecute heretics. Anyone who doesn't stand in accordance to the papal doctrine, they are killed. Pagan, Jew, and Sabbath keepers, whom are the Waldenses in GC chapter 4, alike face tribulation from AD 538 to 1798. This period is the period where it has been mentioned in Daniel chapter 7 verse 25 as the times, and the dividing of time. In other words, the 1260 years. The same in Revelation chapter 13 verses 5, the 42 months. And this is the Thyatira and Jezebel, the Waldenses and papacy respectively. Go read The Great Controversy chapter 4, the Dark Ages. Justinian felt himself to be the vicegerent of the Almighty to rule the world and bring it all to the service of Christ. His wars were holy wars. He was well aware that judicious persecution is a great help towards conversion. He strengthened the existing laws against pagans, Jews, and heretics. Many were burnt at Constantinople after the emperor had made vain attempts to convert them. From the time when paganism gave way for papacy was a period of 30 years, 508 to 538 AD. And already we have 1260 years from 538 to 1798. Adding 1260 to 30, we get 1290 years of Daniel chapter 12 verse 11. Here we are seeing how the Bible is one book. Are we? Daniel was shown that papacy must first be set up, that is the first 30 years, and then the persecution, that is the second part, 1260 years, a total of 1290. But there's a reference to the 1290 and from that time. So what time was the angel referring to? Let's read Daniel chapter 12 verse 9. "And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed until the time of the end." The angel meant that the time of the end will only come after 1290 years. Oh yes, Paul was saying the same thing, that the day of Christ will only come after a falling away. This is the period from Constantine to Justinian at 534. And the man of sin, or the son of perdition, or the abomination that maketh desolate is revealed, and he was revealed in that period of 538 to 1798. We have two witnesses saying the same thing here, but to even establish it deeper, let's finish quickly the chronology of the seven churches. The fifth church, Sardis, Revelation chapter 3 verses 1 to 6. A strong injunction is given them: be watchful and strengthen the things that remain. Why are they asked to strengthen the things? Because Pergamos corrupted the doctrines and Thyatira lived in fear of persecution, and this led to an almost death of God's truth. Truly, it was a dark age. But as a light at the end of the tunnel, the reformers arise. Chapters 5 to 14 of the Great Controversy mentions these individuals, including Martin Luther, Huss and Jerome, John Wycliffe, etc. These reforms now gave birth to the purest church, the sixth church, Philadelphia. This is Revelation chapter 3 verse 7 to 13. It's pure because Jesus has nothing against them. These are the Millerites who proclaimed the day of Christ at hand to come in October 22nd, 1844. And this message was only preached between the 1830s to 1844, a period after 1798. So, a summary of all we've learned so far, beginning from Paul speaking to the Thessalonians in Ephesus. This is from 34 AD to around 300 AD. Then Smyrna comes to view, facing persecution by the pagan Rome under Diocletian from AD 303 to 313. Afterwards, the devil changes his tactics. He sees brute force won't work, so he begins to corrupt the doctrines of Christ in the church of Pergamos. Here, pagan Constantine is converted to Christianity. He even later, in March 7th, AD 321, causes a Sunday law. Clovis, a France leader, is baptized into the church in 508 AD and helps the Catholic papacy uproot one of the three horns or kingdoms, the Visigoths, paving the way for the little horn to be established. After this death, Justinian comes upstage with the Code of Justinian, which are a compilation of all civil laws from Constantine to his time, combining them with ecclesiastical or church laws by AD 534. This far, a strong foundation has been laid by the devil in readiness for a persecution. So, from AD 538 to 1798, Thyatira, the true Sabbath keepers or the Waldenses, are persecuted by the Papal Rome, the abomination that maketh desolate, the Jezebel, killing God's prophets and feeding the prophets of Baal. Amidst all these tribulations, the reformers arise. Sardis. They hold fast the scattered truths, though still facing death. The combination of their faith and diligence gives birth to the purest church, Philadelphia, that now proclaimed the time of the end, or the day of Christ at hand, which was to come in October 22nd, 1844, which is after 1798. This far, we have enough evidence as to when the time of the end began. It started in 1798. Now, in the next episode, we'll see the events that really happened at the beginning of that time of the end, 1798, which is the battle of the kings of the South and North. Be blessed.